Welcome to Joseph E. Ibberson Conservation Area, located in Halifax, Pennsylvania. Okay guys, so today I'm at a new state park. If you've been following along my YouTube journey, you know that I'm trying to visit all of the Pennsylvania state parks. And today I'm at the Joseph E. Ibberson Conservation Area. And I'm going to be hiking the Evergreen Loop today. It's just the red trail. It's about a mile, and the reason I'm just going to do a short little trail today is because I'm on my way to a camping weekend with fellow content creators. So I'm a little bit pressed on time, but this worked out nicely to do a little stop here. So you can see some residential areas, which is a little unusual, but still very beautiful. Let's talk about this preserve. This straddles St. Peter's Mountain here in this part of Pennsylvania. This particular preserve is 803 acres. So we've got a pretty nice size chunk of land here. And this is a conservation area. So this is a part of the state park system, but it is, I guess, termed differently. They're calling it a conservation area, similar to what the Boyd Big Tree Preserve is. That's also a conservation area. And this was the first conservation area of its type created in the state. So in this park, you're primarily going to find hardwood forests, and it is a large unbroken strand of forest here, which is now, depending on what kind of hiking you want to do when you're here, there's a number of very short, easy trails. You can connect them to make a longer loop. And then the trails here also connect to the Appalachian Trail, so you can do that as well. This is a popular spot for people to get on the AT. When I was doing my research about this park, I learned that the land here has been inhabited for about 11,000 years, and that first it was the Native Americans. So there were several tribes here, the Lenni Lenape, the Iroquois, also the Shawnee, and the Nanticoke, all occupied here or passed through here. Another interesting thing is located right near here. It's called the Shoup Site, and this is a huge area where they found so many Native American artifacts. So the Native American artifacts that have been recovered from that site are on display in the Smithsonian Museum and then also the Pennsylvania State Museum, but they were found right in this area. The Shoup Site is closed to collecting and visiting. It's on private property, but it is right near here. But it's neat to think of all the people that were here for thousands of years before us. Got a creepy little cabin here. Looks like it's seen better days. And as far as trails go, everything is marked really nicely with either plastic signs or these wooden signs. So if you come here and you have more time, do a variety of these trails combined to make a longer loop. So lots of young pine forest along here. So if we're going to visit this park, we should know what the name is and what it's named for. So it's named after Joseph Ibberson, and he came up with kind of the first managed forest plans for Pennsylvania. And in 1962, he bought land for a tree farm, and then he later donated that land to the state. And then some additional acreages were donated, and that is what became the preserve today, this conservation area here. So really great story. And it's a pretty fitting day to visit because it's actually Arbor Day. And what a great place to visit for somebody who loves trees and who tree farmed and now has this beautiful area protected. So this is like the perfect day to visit here. When I visit a new state park and I visit a new preserve or things like that, I love to know the story behind it, because there's so many people that are kind of like everyday heroes who donate their land and who fight to save these places, and they're the ones we really need to thank for having a lot of this open space and this beautiful forest. When you get to certain junctions, there's certainly a lot of different ways to go. There's a yellow trail, there's a white trail, there's a green one going off that way. So just kind of take a minute to orient yourself. So at first the trail started as gravel. Now we're just back to a regular trail. But this one is rated one of the easiest in the park. Just a mile loop. I always like doing trails like this when I first come to a park. Kind of get the lay of the land, get a sense of what the park is like. Even if I'm pressed for time, like doing a mile is better than nothing. It is so wonderfully quiet here. You hear nothing but the birds, and it's so quiet that every time a squirrel or a chipmunk moves in the brush, you're just like, what is that? Because it sounds so loud. But it's just the tiny scurrying of a squirrel or a chipmunk. I keep hoping for like a deer or a bear or something more exciting, but yeah. I always think this is so cool. Even when a tree dies, it gets a second life and helps animals. So you can see, looks like a woodpecker did this. So I mentioned this in some other videos, but I am a huge reader. I read over like 100 books a year, and I've done this for the past couple of years. I like to read nonfiction, fiction, pretty much anything that seems interesting to me. But being so close to the AT kind of made me think of a book that I'm reading now, and I'm reading, it's called Heartwood. I believe it's by Amity Gage, I think the name might be. It was one of those books that was like Read with Jenna or something from one of the morning shows. And sometimes I like those and sometimes I don't. But this appealed to me because it's about a missing hiker on the AT. This is fiction. And I started reading it, and it's pretty interesting. You know, everyone kind of thinks she's missing, and you don't totally know what's going on with her situation yet. Is she really injured? Did she run away on purpose? The husband is a mysterious character in the book, and some people are suspicious of him and some people aren't. And I'm pretty early into the book, so I don't exactly know what's going to happen. But if you like hiking, if you like outdoor survival stories and wilderness themes, and you don't mind reading fiction, I would definitely check this one out. So sadly, I can see the parking lot, and the 1 mile really went by really fast. If I didn't have somewhere else to be, I would probably check out a few more of the smaller trails because they all look really nice. And there's one that goes by a pond area, which I always like. I like to see frogs and things like that. So if I come back here, I'm going to check that one out. But this was a nice little first look at Joseph E. Ibberson Conservation Area. Completely honest, I don't remember how many state parks this is. I'll have to look it up and put the number in the bottom because I'm starting to lose track. But I'm slowly making my way through the parks. And then there are outhouses here if you need a restroom. Looks like they have the water turned off still for the year. And then over here, looks like there's a little pavilion, so I'm going to show you that. Nice little space for maybe an outdoor classroom or have a quick little picnic with your family. Just this kind of gorgeous, wide open, rolling hill farmland, and you can really see so far off in the distance. So thanks for coming along with me today. I think this is one of those state parks. When I looked on YouTube for other videos about it, just to kind of get the lay of the land, I only saw like one by another YouTuber, and then there were some from like the state park system. So I think maybe there's so many other parks and this is getting overlooked, but it is beautiful here. Super peaceful. Very family friendly trails, and then the ability to combine into a longer loop if you want to do something like that. But visiting this place on Arbor Day makes me grateful for Joseph Ibberson and his tree farm and donating this land. Thanks guys, have a great day.